That sounds like a very great story, particularly the mice going into the motorhomes. If you could tell them to
Hmm.
stay out of my RV, that would be great because every time, every spring I go to open up my RV, there's mice droppings
Yeah.
everywhere. They had a party in there.
You're watching the Spotlight Network, starring Hollywood's newsman,
And if you were just
Logan
trying to
Crawford.
investigators, they now believe a single member.
He works with TV and film legends. And now, Logan's shining the spotlight on the world's top emerging authors and creators.
International were abducted.
This is Spotlight with Logan Crawford, streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV.
I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're celebrating the joy, imagination, and heart of storytelling with an amazing author. Her name is Carley Smith, and she has penned a book you're just going to love. It is called Mice and the Ice Capade. Tiny mice, big dreams, a magical winter day. This charming rhyming tale follows a hardworking family of mice who, after a long summer of preparation, discover the magic of creativity, teamwork, and joy as they transform their humble world into a sparkling winter celebration. With its whimsical illustrations and poetic rhythm, Carley's story is a perfect reminder that even the smallest creatures can have the biggest dreams. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight, and we thank the team at Books for Life Marketing for helping us put her in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below this interview. Carley, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you for having
Such,
me.
such a pleasure to have you on the show. You've done great work on this book. Tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind Mice and the Ice Capade.
Well, a couple of years ago, I was a member of a Zoom writing class. We had our meetings on Zoom, and there was only about 4 or 5 women that got together every week, and we had a mentor. And one day the mentor gave us some writing prompts, and she asked us to write something, and we knew we weren't going to be able to finish what we wrote, but just to start writing something and choose 3 words. One of the words I chose was mice. And so later, I'm thinking like several months later, I went back to what I had started writing, and I finished that. And I write poetry, and so I wrote this in poetry form. And after I finished it, I was thinking again, and it kind of came to me that that could turn into a children's storybook. And so I contacted a publishing company, and to make a long story short, they asked me if I had a manuscript ready. And I thought about that little poem that I had written, and I said, well, kinda. And so I submitted it, and it was about a week later they called and said they had accepted it.
Wow.
And they would turn it into a story, a book. And so that's how it started.
Wonderful, wonderful. It's amazing. You went from a Zoom class to a actual publication of your book, and I can see why it got picked up so quickly. It's a beautiful book. Tiny Mice, Big Dreams. I think that's kind of the theme of this, is that you dream big. Talk to us a little bit about the message you hope children take away from this book.
Well, I think um, dreams are never too big. And that kind of comes from myself. I've always wanted to publish a book, and I like to write poems, and that's been over several years. It was just always in the back of my mind. I want to make a poetry book, publish a poetry book. And I think children need to know that they don't need to wait until they're old to turn their dreams into something real. And that's kind of what I did. That's just the theme of the story, is that dreams do come true.
Yeah. Exactly. If you put action
And
under those dreams, which is part of it as well, and you did with getting this book published. So wonderful with that. You spent years as a teacher. Tell us how that influenced the way you tell stories for children.
well, I think my creativity and my imagination kind of played a part in that. I was always creating things that the kids could make. Uh, the children that I worked with were disabled, and it was in different schools for the disabled children, and so I had to think on a low level, make things easy for them, and I had to be creative, change things a little bit so they would be able to do what they could do, and so that kind of had a part in the creation of what happens in the story and what the mice are able to do. But I think that had a lot to do with, just me being creative. I was always making bulletin boards, art projects, and things like that for the kids.
Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful. A lot of creativity, a lot of inspiration. Have you envisioned this book as a cartoon or an animated feature for children?
Kind of thought about that, but have never really got into that yet. I know that takes a lot of money, so probably isn't going to happen.
You never know. You could get the call from Disney or Hulu one day and they want to pay for everything
Yeah,
and pay you, which would be great. Yeah,
that would work.
that would
That
work
would
for
be
sure. So, Hollywood, if you're listening, here's a story that's ready to go. And are there morals or values or a theme that you hope that children and parents take away from reading the story together?
well. I think as far as morals, gratitude would be my first answer on that. The little mice were very proud of their harvest. They were thankful for their harvest, and that's the reason that they wanted to have a party and celebrate. Um, Another thing is that the kids need to learn how to work. They need to learn how to work together
Mhm.
and be proud of what they accomplish. When they accomplish something, then they can celebrate.
Yeah,
Celebration needs to come after that. They need to earn it.
yeah. Absolutely. That's an important lesson to learn that you celebrate your accomplishments after you've earned them. Good advice. Are you
Mhm.
thinking about a sequel or any other children's book? Tell me what's next for you as a writer.
I do have a sequel, and it is also being published at this time. And the name
Hmm.
of it is, I'm going to read it because I don't want to get it wrong.
Okay.
Um, Mice in the County Fair Surprise, a whimsical tale of friendship, family, and first prizes. And so that one is in the works right now with this same Books to Life marketing. And they're not quite finished with it yet, but it should be coming and finished soon.
Sounds great. That'll be wonderful. I love county fairs. Who doesn't? Tell us where that story will go and how you envision it unfolding or how you envisioned it unfolding.
Well, well, it's about the same family of mice, and it's another dream they have. They want to better themselves, right? In the first book, they're living in a little hut near a rice farm, and they had to work quite a bit. And so they decided they might want to move to a farm. And they had neighbors. They were human people who had a farm, and so they decided to move on their farm. So in the process, they end up in a motorhome, which they don't know what it is. They get curious and they climb into this motorhome, and all of a sudden the motorhome takes off and starts leaving. And they don't know where they're going or where they're going to end up. And so they end up at a fair. And then there's all kinds of surprises, and they get into some little bit of mischief on the way while they're in the motorhome. And They find out where they're at. They meet a friend. I won't tell you what type of friend it is. Um, then they have a few more uh, little things that go on there that are exciting and just fun. And then they end up coming back home, and they kind of change their mind after they get there.
Mm,
So kind of the moral to this one is the grass is greener, and they find out that it's not.
yeah.
And so that's kind of the little bit of the story.
Well, it
I
sounds
don't
like
want to get into a lot of details.
no spoilers, that's for sure. That sounds like a very great story, particularly the mice going into the motorhomes. If you could tell them to
Mhm.
stay out of my RV, that would be great because every spring I go to open up my RV, there's mice droppings
Yeah.
everywhere. They had a party in there, I swear. They have beers out and popcorn and beer nuts open. It's crazy. So that was a great spark of imagination there for that story. Who is your targeted audience for these books?
Young children, I'd say up to age 10 or 11, long in there.
Yeah.
Um, I did go with my first book. I went into some schools, and they allowed me to read my book. And I talked to them about writing skills and things like that when I was there.
Hmm.
Some of those classes were like fourth, fifth, and sixth graders,
Mhm.
and they were beginning to learn how to write things. And so I helped them, just by talking about what it took for me to write and rewrite and make changes and corrections and punctuation, capitalization, and all those things that you have to know before you can get it right, before somebody will publish it.
Yeah.
And so that was a good experience. I went into several different schools around our area, and they enjoyed the story.
Great. Great. That's what I was going to ask you. What was the reaction of the kids?
Oh, they they loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they
Wonderful.
all wanted to know if I was going to write another one, and um, just they had a lot of questions, about different parts of it, and uh, it was just fun.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. I also think the
Mhm.
rhyming aspect of your books is very enjoyable for children. They almost anticipate what the rhyming word will be. And I think that's part of the
Mhm.
fun. Tell us a little bit about how you think poetry works well in helping young readers stay focused.
Well, I suppose it's like you say, the anticipation of what the next word is, and even the young children learn how to rhyme. Rhyming words, cat, hat, bat, and all those
Yeah,
little simple words. But then it can get more interesting, as they get older, and they can get more creative and use their dictionary and find other words, that rhyme.
yeah,
I even have to do that sometimes. I I can't find something, and um, that kind of thing helps. But they like the rhythm. They like it. It's similar to singing.
mhm.
They just they get into it. They can listen to it easier than short sentences and long sentences together and paragraphs. It's easier to read and easier to listen to.
Yeah, there's something fun about it. Like you said, it's like a song. They kind of remember it after a while, and children love repetition. My kids always wanted to watch the
Repetition.
same movies and read the same books over and over again. They still do. I think my son reads Harry Potter
And they,
every 6 months.
yeah,
Yeah.
one of my kids memorized The Lion King. You
Wow.
could watch it, and she'd be over there saying what they were saying. I'm gonna say, yeah, I know
Exactly.
what you mean. Yep.
Yep, yeah. Lion King was a big one. Mufasa, my brother.
Mhm.
Lots of great lines in that one. We used to play that with the kids as well in the swimming pool. One would be Simba, one would be Mufasa, and or Scar and Mufasa. Those were the two brothers who were at each other's throats. Awesome. Well, what a great book you've written here. It is called Mice and the Ice Capade. It is a heartwarming reminder that teamwork and love can turn even the simplest moments into something very magical. Carley, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time, your insight, and the wonderful work you've done on your books. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time.